winning the race to be the world's leading provider of 5G.
New 5G towers. They're the next wave of wireless technology.
We're going to have a red wave. So what they call it. Right?
U.S. wireless carriers are aggressively expanding their 5G networks, but there are still no studies about how safe the technology really is.
If you had a different administration with different people, what we've done would have taken, in my opinion, 3, 4, 5 years, and it would have been in the FDA forever.
Some residents fought long and hard to slow the spread of wireless antennas in their neighborhoods. The city finally released a new wireless ordinance that steers 5G cell towers away from residential areas and bans them within 600 feet of schools. For everyone else, it's 20 feet, including homes for seniors.
We have to open up. And we understand the disease. We have to protect our seniors. We have to protect our elderly. We have to protect especially our seniors with heart problems and diabetes problems. And we will protect them. We have the best testing in the world by far.
People have been claiming new cell phone technology called 5G as a threat to our health. Now, posts on social media connect 5G to the outbreak of the coronavirus.
And how these towers can be built near your property without your permission.
And you have them going, in some cases, from hotspot to hotspot. If you notice, they're usually hotspot to hotspot.
Made a map overlaying the new 5G towers with the COVID-19 cases, then claims how it's weird the towers are right by the hotspots.
This is 5 times faster than the fastest prior vaccine development in history. 5 times faster. Say it again, 5 times faster.
They are not doing the health studies. We want them to stop it and slow these things down until they do the proper health studies to know that this is safe.
I had no idea that that's exactly where the towers were going to go. I just thought it was announcing in the hearing to talk about it.
So it's the first that we had heard of it. No one had informed any of the residents. No one had informed the homeowners association.
According to the American Cancer Society, there is no strong evidence that radio frequency waves from cell towers cause any noticeable health effects. But it says more research is needed, especially for any possible long-term effects.
It's just a giant experiment on the entire population.
Joel Moskowitz with the UC Berkeley School of Public Health says hundreds of peer-reviewed studies from 41 countries have found exposure to radio frequency emissions from macro towers like the one on top of Channing House can have serious health impacts.
Headaches, what people describe as brain fog, memory and confusion, skin conditions, heart palpitations, a whole range of symptoms has been associated with long-term exposure to prior forms of cell phone radiation.
As for the new 5G towers, there have been no studies at all to date on potential health impacts.
During our visit, we discussed the importance of a secure 5G wireless network and the need for this emerging technology to be a tool for freedom, progress, prosperity, not to do anything where it could be even conceived as a conduit for suppression and censorship.
Hey guys, Pedro V here. A few things I want to talk about in this video. I've been getting comments about a movie trailer called Songbird and how there's a lot of predictive programming of what is to come. So let's view a little of what stood out.
Curfew is now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors.
First, we know about the curfews, the lockdowns, and now they're ushering a second lockdown and stronger restrictions than the first.
Well, happening today, new COVID restrictions take effect in New Jersey after a surge in cases across the Garden State.
The move comes as Governor Cuomo announces new restrictions beginning tomorrow as cases also rise in New York.
As Governor Andrew Cuomo is now labeling the entire borough of Staten Island a yellow zone.
Also, I want to add that these lockdowns started happening right on March 13th, 2020, which is also Friday the 13th. The second Friday the 13th, and just in time for all these new orders and restrictions and entering a second lockdown. Now back to the movie Songbird. This movie is supposed to come out in 2021, and we know about Agenda 21, we know about Agenda 2030, and this all plays out to what may soon come, whether it goes down this way or another.
Ideally, we won't go to a lockdown. I will not go. This administration will not be going to a lockdown. Hopefully, whatever happens in the future, who knows which administration it will be. I guess time will tell. But I can tell you this administration will not go to a lockdown.
In this scene, it says deaths this year, 8.4 million, and they're entering a 213th week of lockdowns.
Tensions rise as we enter the 213th week of lockdown.
So now this virus has mutated.
Scientists have been expecting the virus that causes COVID-19 to mutate.
COVID-23 has mutated
And now attacks brain tissue. In this scene, it seems like you can't go anywhere without some sort of immunity, perhaps a vaccination, an RFID chip, whatever the case may be.
Hey, whoa, I'm immune! I'm immune!
Technically discriminating.
I mean,
I'm
if
not
that's how
here
you
to do
want to...
that.
No, I'm just saying. I
I'm
can
not-
provide
I
you
don't
reasonable accommodation.
I won't wear a mask because I can't. I'll have a panic attack. I will freak out. I will have an anxiety attack. I know what I want.
In this scene, the overall death toll is 110 million.
Worldwide death toll rises to over 110 million.
All infected Americans are being forced into quarantine camps.
And they talk about quarantine camps, but we already seen the camps being set up, the clinics all over the world. This is all part of the programming. This is all part of the manifestation, guys.
These are our darkest days as a nation. They are our darkest days as a state.
The plan also alerts overflow hospital sites like the one at Colorado Convention Center to prepare beds if needed.
We all continue to hope that we will not use those facilities, but we are prepared to activate them if necessary.
So they are getting prepared for something huge to come.
Department of Sanitation. Sarah, talk to me.
I think my neighbor has a fever.
It'll be so much easier if you just open the door.
So in this scene right here, it seems like if you even have a fever, you are going to be visited by whomever and be taken away. We've actually seen this take place all over the world, and it has happened in some places more than others. For example, China. Remember that clip from China where that family was forced to quarantine? From the movie aspect of it, it isn't exaggeration, because this is what it would look like in real life. So in this scene from Songbird, you can't leave your house or you will be shot on sight.
Anomaly detected. Armed guards will be arriving in 4 to 6 hours. You must not attempt to leave your home, or you will be shot on sight. You must not attempt to leave your home, or you will be shot on sight.
This scene reminds me of that one video from the police and National Guard that were sweeping the neighborhoods in Minneapolis, and they were shooting paint canisters at the citizens to get into their houses.
Oh, there's more. Look at this. They just keep coming.
Go inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go! Light him up! Go inside now! Get in the house!
Get in!
So this is all part of the manifestation. This is part of the New World Order in full swing, and it is the same routine because this goes back to what Mike Pompeo said from the very beginning. He said this is a live exercise, meaning this isn't even close to what they would do in the end.
This is not about retribution. This matters going forward. We're in a live exercise here to get this right. We need to make sure that even today, the data sets that are available to every country, including data sets that are available to the Chinese Communist Party, are made available to the whole world.
So this is part of getting us to the stage and us accepting it as normal. Now this comes back to the other day, the YouTube outage, and some people have been experiencing this stuff more than others on multiple social platforms. And before this outage, there was a purge of YouTube accounts, and this has happened on Facebook, Twitter. It all works together as one design. This is why the tech CEOs had to testify 2 weeks ago, and they are bringing up Section 230.
That's right. It's so unusual that you'd have the democratically led House and this Republican administration on the same page, both intent on investigating these tech giants.
Well, I think that's a very dangerous power to hand over if you suddenly have 2 or 3 billionaires deciding what speech is allowed, what speech is not, and it's all invisible.
They will discuss this issue already. I have to wonder how many times they're going to get called and how many times they're going to say yes, right? They're coming next week because there was threats of subpoenas, so they all agreed to come. How many times are they going to come? And how many, eventually they're just going to start sending underlings and others and stop bringing these CEOs. Zuckerberg was already there in June to talk about antitrust. He has had several of these hearings, right? At what point do they get tired of this and just start sending general counsels or somebody else, right? And blowing it off.
On October 1st, this committee voted on a bipartisan and unanimous basis to approve the issuance of subpoenas, including deliberations on what legislative reforms are necessary to ensure a free and open internet. For almost 25 years, the preservation of internet freedom has been the hallmark of a thriving digital economy in the United States. This success has largely been attributed to a light touch regulatory framework and to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, often referred to as the 26 words that created the internet.
This is all part of the blackout, the censorship, and what is to come.
It's because we're in this essentially powerless position that we're asking government to intervene.
It says here 286,000 users were affected, and I know a lot of you seem to be one of those people, and someone mentioned, what if they only did this to us? Because it didn't happen to your friend down the street or across town. It happened to you directly or others you know who are open-minded. And since there's many of us, of course it's going to seem like it's on a mass scale. And it happened all over the world to specific individuals like ourselves. And that could very well be the case. And I would not look past anything at this point.
China believes that in order to compete in the new external environment that it faces, that it has to generate more domestic consumption. And you can't do that if people don't want to consume on some of the largest platforms by which they make their retail purchases, and that's Chinese big tech. So they have to send a signal to consumers that it's safe to purchase on these platforms and that they will not be abused by big tech. So I think that's another plausible reason. Finally, on the political level, look, we know that Xi Jinping has been tightening his grip on all aspects of Chinese society. And one way they do that is by controlling data and making sure that they can control the means of communication. And big tech has really shown that they can collect data, deploy data, and that's a challenge to the party.
So this would mean the time is now to organize, to group up, to start stepping out of your comfort zone, find others like yourselves, but always be cautious and never be gullible. Do not be deceived and go with your faith, your intuition. On these things, if you are concerned, directed prayer. Now last, I will point out, if it goes this direction, nationwide blackouts.
So anything that runs on solid state electronics, which is just about everything, ATM machines, anything that would be run on the solid state electronics, computers would be kind of fried, literally fried.
The blackout may run along the entire northwest corridor.
What's going on? Get to the cabin.
Jake, you take care of your brother, you hear me?
Now go now, go. Why are you still
If you're seeing this broadcast, you are in a part of the country no longer controlled by the government of the United States.
This is all planned, folks. I wanted to quickly touch on all of that. And with that being said, have faith, remain vigilant, and God bless you all.